Well, as a result of Curtis Martin rejoining his old coach, Bill Parcells in New York, the Jets are on the sundial for a while. They will sit as New England grabs this pick, the 18th pick, which was one of 2 draft choices that they got because of the signing of Curtis Martin. They got a 1 and a 3. They have 6 of the first 83 because they have the Jets' 2nd-round pick. That's part of the Bill Parcells deal negotiated between the 2 teams and Commissioner Tagliabue a year ago. The Jets, another story, have recouped its 2, but so the Patriots have 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s. It's like a Lawrence Welk in double. And now let's go up to Sal Palantonio in New England. Sal?
Boomer, I just talked to the Patriots war room. They are overjoyed that Robert Edwards is still sitting there at number 18. They gambled by not going up and trying to get Curtis Enis or Fred Taylor, holding on to these picks that they've gotten for Curtis Martin and Bill Parcells. They've got a player there that they want, and I do believe that they're going to take Robert Edwards to be the heir apparent to Curtis Martin, Boomer. Now back to you.
All right, Sal, thank you. So we discussed that they gambled and won by staying where they are because we didn't think any running backs would go below Taylor. Once Taylor went to Jacksonville, New England stayed put, and they're going to get their man Robert Edwards if that's where they want to go.
Well, 217-pound running back Robert Edwards is, Chris. And I think when you look at durability question, that's why he's still there, or he may have been a top 10 pick. Kid, strong runner, very elusive for a big back. He has a little bit of change of direction ability, but what he can do is hit the home run. And with the zone blitz packages, you see a lot of running backs going 65, 70 yards for touchdowns. Robert Edwards did that on a regular basis at Georgia against tough competition in the SEC. You see here, going the distance, taking it into the end zone. I think this is something that he provides for a 217-pound running back. Can catch the football, help you in blitz pickup in terms of blocking. I'll tell you what, when you look at this kid and you see time after time, and this highlight package is really accurate in terms of the way he played when he was healthy. Against Tennessee, he would have maybe had 300-plus yards had he not gotten hurt in that particular game 2 years ago. He's a talent. What he has to do is prove, just like Robert Smith did coming out of Ohio State, that he's durable enough to play 16 games in the NFL.
Well, there's some decent lineage, Mel, out of Georgia. Certainly Terrell Davis, MVP of the Super Bowl in his hometown, and, boy, a 6th-round pick. I mean, that might go down as all-time as one of the classic lower draft picks in the history of the NFL. Garrison Hurst now coming into his own, although a couple of teams later, not Arizona or Cincy, but a very good player now for San Francisco. Rodney Hampton was a key cog for the Giants, although he'll probably be playing elsewhere next year. And, of course, Herschel Walker. So how about them dogs? They hope that Robert Edwards, can continue the Georgia lineage. The pick is now in. Let's go up to the commissioner. See if New England gets their back.
With the 18th pick in the 1st round, the New England Patriots select running back from the University of Georgia, Robert Edwards.
Well, there's Patriot fans here as well as Jet fans are holding up signs. Bill, thanks for the picks. Well, they got their back.
They got their back, but also they had Cedric Saw last year. So, I mean, they've got 2 very young backs. Derek Cullors also there as a running back. This is a football team that is pretty set in most places. What they're doing now is they're stockpiling and building for the future. That's why New England doesn't want to get rid of a lot of their picks. They didn't want to give up the house to move all the way up to Enis. If you look at Edwards and Enis, you can almost look at Manning and Leaf. You know what you're getting with Enis, you know what you're getting with Manning. With Edwards, if he stays healthy, there could be a greater upside as there is with Ryan Leaf. So you've got a similar situation in the running back part of this draft that you do in the quarterback part of it. A little bit of the unknown in this guy.
Yeah, but if the unknown becomes known, the Patriots are certainly a serious contender to get back and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. When we return, the Heisman Trophy winner, now rated. Charles Woodson will talk with our Mike Tirico and a draft update. Please stay tuned.
Worldwide leader in sports, this is ESPN News' special presentation of the NFL Draft.
A quick update from our ESPN studios. Green Bay Packers on the clock with pick number 19 of the first round. This is a pick they got courtesy of a trade earlier today with the Miami Dolphins. Miami also picking up the Packers' second-round pick. That means the wait will continue a little bit longer for Randy Moss. Jimmy Johnson, a coach who might have gone with Moss in this slot and said he trades out. So Randy continues to wait as the names of other players are clicked off. We've already heard his coaches and teammates defend him. We've also heard some NFL coaches express their reservations, those summed up earlier today by our Mike Godfrey.
He has a high upside. I mean, high. He has a downside as big as the Grand Canyon.
With the fifth pick in the draft, Chicago Bears select running back, Penn State University, Curtis Enis. The Rams select defensive end, Nebraska, Grant Wistrom. New Orleans Saints select tackle, San Diego State University, Kyle Turley.
I just got off the phone with the Cowboys war room, and they're going to go a cold feet like a number of teams are with the Randy Moss.
What is interesting here, guys, is that he could go with this pick, or he could fall all the way to early second.
The Dallas Cowboys select defensive end from North Carolina, Greg Ellis.
One team for whom Randy Moss might be in the picture, they are considering Moss, although they don't necessarily think he'll be there at number 21, are the Minnesota Vikings. Dennis Green told me, this is America. Everyone deserves a second chance. But perhaps even more interestingly, they have someone on their team they think would be a very good influence on Moss, his brother, Eric.
Well, the Vikings may be surprised after all. Pick number 21, just a couple of picks away. It's the Packers and then the Lions. So we'll have to see, in fact, if Minnesota does take Randy Moss. In the meantime, the Moss camp waiting patiently, or perhaps not so patiently, in Charleston, West Virginia, where Linda Cohn is standing by. Linda?
Oh, Chris, they're patient, all right. Randy's smiling, munching on chicken wings, remaining relaxed. Meanwhile, his agent, Bus Cook, who also represents Brett Favre, of course, with Green Bay, moments ago got off the phone with the Packers, who said they're definitely not interested in Randy Moss because simply they have too many receivers. Their concentration is on defense. But about the Vikings, Bus Cook had a nice conversation this morning with Dennis Green. Dennis Green had contacted Bus, talked about the possibility of taking Randy. Green didn't think Randy would be available when it was Green's turn to pick at 21, but it looks like he will be available at that spot. So Dennis Green said he might be re-evaluating things when he had that conversation with Bus Cook this morning. And Chris Myers, is there a possibility?
Yeah,
actually,
yes,
we're going to... Go ahead,
there is,
Chris.
Linda. I was going to say there is that possibility. I just got off the phone with one of the Viking assistant coaches who is making an argument, one of the offensive coaches who said he's rated as one of the top 5 offensive players in the draft. Vikings hoping to learn from history. In '95, they wanted Warren Sapp. Tony Dungy was pounding on the table. They passed on him, regretted that later. Chris Carter, they think, can be a positive influence. The Vikings are considering Randy Moss, even though their priority is a cornerback. Right now, let's go back to Chris Berman in New York.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. The Packers traded up. We'll talk about what they've done and what they were hoping to accomplish in a moment. Gene Washington is going to make this pick. Not make the pick, but announce it.
The Green Bay Packers have selected defensive tackle from North Carolina, Vonnie Holliday.
Yeah, that's... Well, you heard Hank allude to it earlier, and I'm on board with it, too, that they made the move up to 19, Mel. Well, we'll talk about Holliday, who can he play defensive end? That's the big question for the Packers.
I think he can. He had that 33 vertical. He did the 225. He bench pressed 31 times. He's very quick off the ball. You watch him here, and I'll tell you, this kid really gets into the backfield. He explodes. Like I said, 31 reps. And he played in more of a read, react, contain defense at North Carolina. Gap responsibilities. Then he went after the football. You turn him loose at a defensive end spot at 295 pounds with his quickness and as active and alert as he is. This kid made plays at North Carolina on a regular basis. I think, he's a projection. We project the, corners to safety. You project defensive ends to outside linebacker. I think he can play that spot for the Packers because he's number one. He's so athletic and he's strong. And I tell you, let him pin his ears back and get after the quarterback, something he really wasn't allowed to do at North Carolina. And I think they got the best value in Vonnie Holliday on the board at this point.
Well, that was not necessarily the guy they were looking at, but here's why they went with it. Here's the trade, by the way, which happened this morning about an hour before the draft began. The Dolphins and the Packers swapped number 1 pick, so Miami will pick later on. And the Packers' second-round pick went to Miami late in the second round, number 60 overall. Here's what's facing the Packers, and you got to remember that even though they've lost 6 players due to free agency, they feel that their young guys, for example, Newsom was hurt last year and now will play corner, the spot that Doug Evans occupied. And they feel that their secondary, with Darren Sharper stepping in for Eugene Robinson, who unexpectedly was signed away by Atlanta, they can line up right now as defending NFC champs. What they saw in the Super Bowl was a winded, heated defensive line. We all saw it. They're worn down by the Broncos.